You're listening to Straight Shooters, a straightforward golf podcast that'll straighten out your game. And here are your hosts, Keith Bennett and Henry Statina.
All right, welcome back to the Straight Shooters Golf Podcast. Keith Bennett, Henry Statina here. We got a great interview with Blair Wheeler. Blair is an Instagrammer, surfer, fitness guru. He's a guy that's looking to break 80. Just like a lot of folks at home, he's going to be sharing with us a lot of the tips and tricks and aspects of his journey that have been valuable. And I think it's going to be really helpful for the people out there. Keith, tell us a little bit about what we're about to hear.
Yeah, no, it was cool having Blair on the podcast. I think you and I had talked at length about this weekly. You know, people have these goals in mind, these sort of carrots dangling out in front of them. They'll break 100, break 90, and in Blair's case, break 80. But a lot of people throw those numbers around and don't really have any goals or ways to, plan systems in place to make those happen. How are they actually going to go about that? There's a process involved. And it was kind of interesting to hear what Blair's doing. He's got every excuse in the book built in, just like the rest of you out there, as far as, I got a family at home, I got a job, I'm working, I got emails to answer, I get home and I don't want to do anything other than hang out. And, he is taking all that in stride and still coming up with plans and ways to attain his goal. And he's putting it out there for everybody to watch and witness, hopefully to be an inspiration for everyone else to also kind of come up with ways to make their goals happen. So we get into a lot of cool stuff from his time with hanging out with Scott Stallings, PGA Tour professional, things he learned from him, kind of how he can relate his consistency to working out and how that can also relate to his consistency in becoming a better golfer. We kind of compare those two things and talk about some ways where he could transfer that same mindset over to golf. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in here that we're going to unpack. And without further delay, let's get into the episode. Here is Blair Wheeler. Mr. Blair Wheeler, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast this morning, all the way from, the opposite side of the country from me. Henry's a little closer to you, but man, nice to officially meet you. Henry and I have been following you from afar and kind of following along with your journey, and which is you're making very public about, kind of knocking down some golfing milestones that a lot of others can relate to. And we're just excited to talk to you about that journey and some things you're doing to make it happen. I mean, you've got all the excuses in the world that everybody else comes to the table with when Henry and I give lessons, right? Family, job, short on time. But it seems like you're not really letting that stuff get in the way, which we think is pretty cool. So we're looking forward to talking to you, but how you doing?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you reaching out. Let me come on the show. Let me kind of speak more about what I'm doing. I have a podcast too and talk pretty extensively on that with different people about what's going on. But yeah, I appreciate you guys letting me come on the show.
Absolutely. So for the listeners who maybe haven't caught on to your Instagram page or listened to the podcast, what have you been doing the last handful of years? How did you get to this point where you're at right now? Give us a little background on you, growing up a little bit, maybe into college, and then how we got here.
Yeah, well, I was just talking to Henry about this before we started the show, but I'm from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina originally. It's hard to not play golf growing up in Myrtle Beach. I think there's something like 87 or 117 courses in like a 35, 40 mile radius, right? Crazy amount of golf to be played. And it's 99% public, right? So you can walk on anywhere and get a tee time anywhere from $150 to like a $20 tee time. There's so much variation in what you can play there. So I grew up in Myrtle Beach, played golf, but I played every other sport under the sun: football, baseball, soccer, basketball. In high school, I played football. I played golf on the golf team. And I was the worst person on the team too. I shot roughly the same I do now, mid to low 80s, but everybody else either was going to school to be a PGA pro after high school or got a college golf scholarship. 3 of our guys on the team went to play D1 golf. One guy went to Clemson, one guy went to Coastal Carolina. One guy went to Florida Atlantic. Like, it was crazy. And then there's me, who was just there because the coach was cool with me going surfing when there was waves, because at that same time I was still had this idea that I could be a professional surfer, which I surfed semi-professionally until like through college, because I went to Coastal Carolina, stayed in Myrtle Beach, and until I got a real job. Then I got a real job, moved to California. Didn't really play golf as much, kind of would get the bug here and there, play consistently for a couple months and then let it go. Like a lot of people who are just kind of dabbling with the game. And then when I got engaged to my wife now, her dad's really good. Like, her dad's like a 6 or 7 handicap. And I hate losing. I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. So I couldn't stand getting beat by this dude. And still to this day, can't stand getting beat by him. So I was like, I have to start playing golf more. And then the journey started. I had a small social following at that time, just from working and having a dream job out of college and traveling to really, really cool places and being around some really cool people. And I just started telling that story of, like, I'm a 13 handicap trying to get to a 10, trying to get to a single digit, and going on that journey. And over the past year or so, I've really solidified my North Star and figuring out what works for me and how to do that, right? Like, I posted a video the other day of my swing change from 2000 and like late 2018 to today. Mm-hmm. And Keith, I don't know if you saw it, but it's night and day. Like, it looks like a different golfer.
It does, man. It's looking good.
It's a work in progress.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's really cool to hear the background. I'm coming from a similar sort of background of, riding a board sideways, so to speak. I grew up snowboarding. I mean, that was my sport. I didn't really touch a set of golf clubs officially until I was probably 16. Just grew up in Vermont, where winter was everything and snow sports were everything. And I was also in that same semi-professional boat of, pretty elite high-level junior. Got into a few magazines and was invited to some pretty big events. And then, few injuries kind of made me double think, kind of take a second look at what I was doing. And college was approaching, and similar to you, I kind of got the golf bug just along that path, and had a little junior membership at a country club near my house, and one thing led to another. And I think golf was something where, it's kind of, if you shoot a low score, you win. If you don't, you don't, and no one's judging you. And it's kind of an interesting thing. I'm sure maybe you can sort of speak to that. Whereas like in surfing, you get a score, right? They kind of tell you, based on the wave, and golf, it's like, no, you shoot or you don't.
Well, it's competitive surfing. And I just had this conversation with Alex Diebold, who is like you, a former, well, I guess he's still a current professional snowboarder, on my podcast last week. And it's very similar in the fact that you're like, in surfing, you're getting a score, and you're surfing. It's more like Olympic gymnastics, right? Like, you're going out, you're performing for judges, and the judges are going to judge you based on what you did on that wave. But at the end of the day, you're still competing against yourself and trying to measure up to your own, what you can do in your head and what your mind's saying like you need to do. Same with golf.
Sure. Yep.
So you're still competing against yourself and nature at the same time. And it's the same with golf, right? You step up to a ball and you're like, well, I saw Keith's video. I know exactly what I need to do with my swing. Can you do it? Can your body actually function that way and move that way is the question.
Right.
So it's similar in that aspect, but then the sporting aspect of it, of where you get your score in surfing and in golf is kind of what differs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So was there a moment for you, we hear this all the time, like there was one shot you hit or one moment on a golf course where it's like, this is what I want to be doing more of, or was it just kind of an, accumulating, effect, so to speak?
Well, it's getting older, right? Like,
moving
back to North Carolina, I don't surf as much as I used to. The way I'm a lot jaded when it comes to the quality of waves.
Yep.
So I don't have the itch to scratch like I used to when I was living in California. And now more so than like in the past, more of my friends are playing golf in their spare time. So, and living in a mile away from the country club is easy. I can just roll over there and hit balls or whatever.
Yep.
But for me, it's like all my friends are playing golf. My father-in-law is playing golf. My social media is about golf. So I have that aspect too, where it's more of a job than it is a hobby for me at this point. But I still enjoy it, right? And growing up playing the game, my dad played golf before he passed away a ton. And it's not, there wasn't a certain moment per se. It's just more so that all my friends are playing it. I enjoy it. I can take my kids out there to the range a little bit, starting to now. So it's just getting older, man. More people are playing golf, and it's just more accessible. It's easier
Absolutely.
to roll out to the driving range for 30 minutes than it is to roll down to the beach, get in the water, surf, get out of the water, drive back home. It takes more time. And when you get older and have 6-month-old twins, time is gold.
Hey Blair, what's your handicap right now, and what is your training program look like? How often do you play, practice? How are you getting better?
So my official handicap is 11.2 on the gin. And then practicing, I might get out to the range maybe 2 or 3 times a week, 3 times a week if I'm lucky, and I'll play a full 18 twice a month. Practice, it's kind of up in the air. Like there's days where I go to the course and I'll play 18 and I can't hit an iron shot to save my life, or I can't get off the tee box to save my life, but I'll shoot like 84 because my short game saves me. And then the next day I play, it's the complete opposite. I hit 14 fairways and I'm like three chipping, right? Just trying to get on the green, or hitting 3 out of the sand or whatever it is. So for me, it's more about like, I don't need to work on certain things. I need to work on more consistency. And I think that just comes from reps. I'm not a PGA pro, so I'm not sure what I need to do, but I'm pretty sure I just need more reps to build that consistency in there.
Yeah, for sure. How do you intend to build more consistency?
Just play more, I guess. I'm not really sure. It's kind of, that's the gold question. I think if anybody had the answer for, you'd probably be a millionaire. So yeah, it's probably just play more. But that said, I'd love to hear what you guys think as pretty good PGA pros.
Yeah, Keith and I talk about this question all the time, actually.
This is it, man. This is the number one question.
Yeah, people are always asking for more consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is real simple. If you want to score more consistently, you need to play golf more consistently.
Yeah.
You need to play golf more often, right?
Yeah.
And
Practice
so, Keith and I both during this pandemic thing, we've been able to build little hitting areas in our garage and putting green and whatnot. One of my New Year's resolutions is to become more consistent, just like yours is.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to hit 12 golf balls every day.
That's cool.
And to putt for 5 to 10 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did that little goal, a little habit, I'm going to have transformed my game from where it was last year, because I didn't even come close to playing that often. And so sometimes, I get the family thing, right? The timing is so difficult to find 4 hours to go play a round of golf, or 6 when you consider travel and commute. But if we can find little ways of practicing for 15 or 20 minutes at a time, that's going to be really valuable in keeping our game sharp until the next time we're able to get out to the course and practice.
For sure. And that's one of the things, like, I started on my social media this week was talking about practicing daily, right? Mm-hmm. And doing a little daily 9. I know I copied it from Riggs at Barstool. It's fine. What's the saying? Or imitation is the best form of flattery. So
yep.
Good idea. I'm gonna steal it from him. And so I'm doing that now and I did one I think I posted it on Thursday, and I didn't post one yesterday or Saturday. So I need to post another today. But just working on consistently putting or consistently chipping or doing little things that are going to help me long-term and in my current quest to break 80. So yeah, I mean, nail on the head. Play more, practice more. That's the golden ticket to better golf, I think.
Yeah, and with following you and kind of watching how you've been going about it, we've seen that obviously you're close with or friends with Scott Stallings, who is a PGA Tour player and somebody who's obviously, kind of a model of that, what we're talking about, of consistency, right? There's no way you can get to that level of golf. But also we've also followed his journey of, really taking care of himself and prioritizing health and getting in the best shape probably of his life, I would assume.
Oh, definitely his life.
Transforming his body, right? And
yeah.
So what have you, I mean, that's a really cool opportunity to be up close and personal with somebody who's living it and somebody who is, kind of, made it, so to speak. What have you picked up from Scott that he does that, you're like, wow, man, that is, he's doing it. He gets it. Or, what does he do that you can sort of pick a little bit from to kind of help you along your path?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned from my friendship with Scott is the attitude and effort piece, right? Consistency is a habit at the end of the day. If you do something consistently for, I think it's 10 or 14 days, it becomes a habit, and then you just habitually do that thing. It's like fitness for me. Like, I know every day I'm going to wake up 5 days a week and I'm going to have coffee. I'm going to have my pre-workout, and then I'm going to get into the gym. And I've just done that for years, and that's just what I do every morning. But from Scott, his whole thing of attitude and effort, he made his shirts, like he made a bunch of shirts this year about it. Having a positive attitude and putting 100% or 110% effort into whatever you're doing, doesn't matter if it's fitness and health or golf, and not getting down on yourself and not just half-assing it, is probably the biggest thing that I've pulled from him, because he had every excuse in the world to get down on himself when he got diagnosed with, I think it was adrenal fatigue that he had. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but he got diagnosed with something. The doctor was like, dude, you're not going to live much longer, let alone play golf much longer. Because he had a hard time getting, he told the story on my podcast, getting down the fairway. Like, I think it was Ryan Moore, Russell Henley, or somebody was playing with him. And Scott was just lethargic walking down 17 or 18, like could barely get up to the green. And the other golfer turned around and was like, dude, are you okay? And turns out he wasn't, right? And he had to completely transform his entire life, like cut out sweets, cut out everything, get on RP and start really, or Renaissance periodization. It's like a diet template, basically, how you eat. Had to start doing that, change the way he eats, start training, because he didn't really work out at all before that. So he had every excuse in the world not to do that stuff. He could just be like, oh, well, I've won a couple $1 million. Like, I'm good. Like, I could retire right now and be fine and just start another business or start teaching or whatever else. But he didn't. And he said, like, you know what? It's attitude and effort, and it's consistency. So that's the biggest thing I found. I've learned from him, I guess, is the attitude and effort part.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You bring up a really interesting point about attitude and effort, and then the crossover between golf training and then physical training.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you have a pretty detailed program that you go through every, you have 5 days, you wake up, it's part of your habit.
Yeah. Well,
you do it at home?
Yeah. Well, I have a home gym. So my wife and I bought this house in the middle of this pandemic, right? And I try to avoid saying the word pandemic or coronavirus because it might get this podcast flagged, but whatever. Sorry, guys. We bought this house during the pandemic in May. And then one of the things I've always wanted in a house is like a garage gym or a home gym. Like I don't know if you've seen Scott's, but his is like a barn in the back and it's sick. It's like everything I've ever wanted in a home gym. So started building out this home gym. I don't need to go to the gym anymore. I have weights. I have a cardio machine, an assault bike, and battle ropes, and literally everything I need in the garage. So I do CrossFit. I kind of bounce between a couple different programs. From one's CrossFit Krypton in Virginia, the other's CrossFit Mayhem in Cookeville, Tennessee. and kind of bounce back and forth between those. And it's not all golf training. Like I do a lot of mobility and stretching and stuff. That is a little golf specific, and stretching your obliques and your back and getting that turn motion in and getting everything loose. So I do a lot of that. But in terms of training, it's all just making me a more functional, better, stronger person, which I feel directly impacts my golf game, because me squatting 375 makes my legs and my core stronger, which makes everything else I do stronger. Right.
Yeah. You asked, so I'm curious to offer an option. I have this idea where, in fitness, we have a written out plan, maybe where we do certain number of sets and reps. In golf, we should have a similar type practice program. And you already have an indoor facility. Sounds like you're using your garage. Could you set up a net to chip into, or a putting mat and putt into, and just add that to your workout 5 days a week?
I could definitely. Could I? Yes. Would my wife be stoked on it? Absolutely not. So, and I could do something where I could hit like maybe 6 irons. Maybe 6 iron might be the longest club, because my ceiling isn't super high. So I think 6 iron would probably be the limit of what I could swing comfortably in there. But yeah, I could definitely set something up. But my wife would not be would be really excited about me setting up an indoor driving range.
How about chipping and putting?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna get whenever the stuff comes back in stock, I'm gonna buy like a chipping. I have a putting mat in my office. This isn't my office. This is our spare bedroom, and I have a putting mat. I putt a lot, but I need to work on like green reading, and I'm trying to learn aim point. So that's currently what I'm doing. But I have a putting mat, putt all the time. I could set up a chipping green. I'm gonna get one of those nets and just chip into it in the backyard or front yard or something. And we're working on redoing the backyard of this house too. So in the next 5 months or so, I'll have more space that I could actually set up like a full like driving area in the backyard. Just need to get the equipment.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we recently talked to Colin Henderson, who's local to me here in Seattle, and he's a mindset guru, and talks to one of the things that really resonated with me that I think I have already taken into my teaching daily is, he said, we want to do a lot of a little versus a little of a lot. And that really hit me. Like, we want to be doing a lot of a little daily, right? And a lot of students of mine who have mirrors available to them and things at home where they can just stand in front of a mirror and make slow motion deliberate swings, or just at least get a club in their hands and work on body movements and postural things like that.
Yeah,
can go such a long ways. I always tell people, we don't even really need a golf ball to work on our golf swing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you're just trying to build a motion that's going to be responsible for sending a ball to a target later on.
Yeah.
And, a lot of what, we've been watching you do on your Instagram channel is, kind of work on little things from the top of your swing, or little, pieces from the top of your backswing and that sort of stuff. And, that could be something where it's just easy to start to ingrain those patterns and those movements, without a golf ball, just in front of a full length mirror, which, sounds like might even be perfect to put into a gym as well.
Yeah. And I'm trying to get some mirrors, and there's a few things that are hard to come by in 2021. Mirrors are one, plexiglass is one, wood and other building supplies. So yeah, as soon as things start to become more available, I plan to do that kind of stuff and get that sort of thing. Because like you said, one of the things I'm working on is like not rotating, I guess, internally and turning my hands. I don't know if this is gonna be video, but turning like my glove hand towards me and really opening up the club face and doing it the other way and really shutting the club face, which is why I like the way you teach, Keith, because you really break it down on your videos really well. So that's one of the things that I've been working on with my friend Alex Riggs, and he's another PXG ambassador too.
Yeah, I wanted to actually talk to you about Alex Riggs and how you are going about working on your golf swing, right? Because this is something, again, that a lot of people are dealing with right now, and in the time we're living in, where maybe we can't get to the range or we don't want to go out into, that environment, and we have a net set up in the backyard, and maybe we can work on our golf swing. And in 2021, for the past couple of years, there's been an opportunity to work with some excellent coaches that are scattered all over the world. I mean,
Right.
the coach you're working with is in friggin' Dubai,
Yeah.
and you're you're in the States here. So speak on, because I think this would be cool for the listeners to hear too. Speak on how you've gone about working on your golf swing with a remote coach, and using an app, Skillist, that Henry and I are also coaches on.
Yeah. Well, I use Skillest, and I also use an app called GiveGo, which I've spoken with you, Keith, about.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm actually on the board for, which is pretty cool. It's a little different than Skillest, but Skillest is cool. I feel like to work with an online coach, you really need to have a good base already. I don't think it's ideal for people who are picking up the game that might need more hands-on learning or a more hands-on approach that could benefit more from in-person teaching. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're already like a 15 handicap or below, you can definitely learn something on Skillist, right? And it's been really good. And I think me having the athletic background that I have is really easy because Alex or something you put out on Instagram, I can listen to and I can say, oh, I can do that. And I can just go break it down in the yard and make my body move that way, make my body feel the way it's supposed to feel through the golf swing. And I mean, it's really cool that we can, like, Alex is one of the best coaches in the world, and having that ability to just hit him up, and because North Carolina and it has a ton of great PGA pros, but if you're not local to a Pinehurst or you don't have access to them because they work at a private club, it's not great, because then you're stuck with either a newer guy or a younger or an older guy who maybe doesn't teach the way that you need to be taught. So you have the ability to find somebody that meshes with you, the way you learn and the way you comprehend things.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's cool because we can, and I can totally see this from the student's perspective, right? I mean, you can pop on an Instagram page and you can go, oh, I can watch 10 videos and I can totally figure out this guy's teaching style or this girl's teaching style before I ever sign up for a lesson, right? So it's not like you don't know what to expect going in. So you can totally figure out how you feel like you might receive a lesson, or how they're going to speak to you via video. And it's almost like they're kind of putting out their resume, so to speak, and then you can go on and take a lesson. So, how have you two been structuring those lessons? Like, is it little clips of just kind of monitoring stuff, or are you guys working on some wholesale changes? I mean, I know you'd been kind of working on keeping those forearms from rotating in the backswing so that the club face doesn't get a little too open from you from the top. So how have you guys been doing that, and has that been working well for you?
Yeah, ours is the way that we work together is a little different than I think a normal Skillist coach student relationship or coach athlete relationship. Mine's more so like, I'll send him a video, he'll give me some things to work on, and then like some drills to do, or some things or tell me some things I need to be feeling through my swing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's up to me to go feel those out, right? Because I have the ability to just go out there and kind of tinker and figure it out. So like you said, the forearm rotation is a great example. I was turning my hands too much, and internally, I guess, pointing my glove hand in the wrong direction. So one of the things he told me was, you want your glove hand to basically be pointing away from you and getting your wrist to flex the opposite direction and make it feel like DJ at the top, and have the logo on your glove pointing, I guess it'd be behind you, or pointing. Mm-hmm. Pointing behind you. So he told me that, and then I was like, and then he's like, all right, go do it. He just went, figured it out, and consistency drills, just pausing at the tops, turning those hands and swinging through. It was one of the drills I just posted the other day. Mm-hmm. And it's helped a lot, man. I mean, for me, I was like kind of bending my right arm too much. And there was a ton of changes I've made in my swing and a ton still to make, because I mean, it's not a really consistent swing that I have now. It just works. And yeah, it's just working. And there's still some changes to be made for sure, but so far so good. We're trending in the right direction.
Good, good. Do you feel like you would have been able to pick up on some of that stuff on your own, or is that only no? Okay, cool.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, I have friends that have never had a lesson and they've just watched videos of Adam Scott swing just to
Right.
figure out, like,
Yeah, he looks pretty good on video.
Yeah, it's okay. My friend Ian Folk, he's the marketing director at Electric Sunglasses, right? And
Yeah.
he has never taken a golf lesson, or maybe now he has, but he's like a 2 or 3 handicap, and he taught himself how to swing just by breaking down Adam Scott's swing on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, but I would never have been able to figure this thing out just going to the range and banging balls by myself. Like, no way.
Yeah, cool. So I think that's, hey, listeners out there, let's get a coach who can walk you through it. Sounds like that's working for you. So, we have a lot of students, Henry and I both, who want to break milestones in the game, right? 100, 90, 80, you name it, right? They want to get better. So, you've kind of got every excuse in the book, just like everybody else has every excuse in the book for not making it happen, right? Twins, family, everything else going on, time constraints, right? I mean, the time we're living in, I mean, it's a crazy world right now. So it's really commendable that you've been able to do it and make it happen. And, swing aside, right? It's kind of like Henry and I always talk about, you could have the world's greatest golf swing, right? But Adam Scott doesn't win every week, and there's a mindset, and there's course management, and there's expectation management, and there's focus, right, that goes into it. And I'm sure you've seen that same focus in Scott stalling. So is there anything that you're working on to manage your mind, right? Because I mean, when you're coming down the stretch and you've got a couple holes left and you might need par to shoot 79 or 78, right? Like, what are you leaning on? Because, like we know, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your highest level of, preparation. So is there anything you're doing there to make sure that, you're able to stay focused in the moment?
Not really. For me, when I'm playing and I'm playing well, I can't look at the score, right? It's just like a baseball player or a pitcher throwing a no-hitter. You can't say like, oh, you're throwing a no-hitter, because then it's like in your mind and you're thinking about it. So if I'm playing well and I have the chance to shoot, like if I have a front nine that I know maybe I had one double bogey, or I had a couple bogeys and the rest are pars and birdies. Like, I'm not adding up that score and I'm not looking at it, because then I'm thinking about a score rather than one hole at a time. And that's just my mindset for a lot of sports that I played growing up. Like, if you start thinking about the big picture and what you need to do, then that's the pressure you put on yourself. And you need to break it up into smaller goals. Like, you step up to 17 and you've played well. You don't know really what you shot, but you've played well and might have a chance to break 80. You step up and you're like, all right, just need to hit this fairway. Step to the next one. All right, I got 170 in. It's a nice little easy 7-iron, or maybe club up or a little bit. Unless your adrenaline's going, then you can club down. So nice little easy 7-iron into the green. All right, I missed the green. It's just a chip and a putt. Chip it up, putt it in. And breaking that down into smaller goals and having the entire course, not 18 holes, not like one course that's 18 holes. You break it up into 4 different shots on each hole, and that's what's worked best for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is kind of a technique to stay present, right? Now, that one shot at a time mindset. I find that talking to students who are trying to do the same thing as you, right? It's like, oh, they shoot 48 on the front 9 and then they chill out and, they're kind of like, well, this round's toast. And then they end up shooting like 42 on the back and they go, holy smokes, I could have done X, Y, and Z if I had just had that mindset, from the jump.
Yeah.
But a lot of people go to that first tee with these grand expectations and this visions of grandeur about, oh, I've been putting in all this practice time and game's feeling good. And then, the weight, there's so much weight and expectations on the shoulders that they shoot themselves out of it from the jump, and then they're playing catch up. But actually what's interesting is when they stop caring so much and just kind of enjoy the people they're with, or enjoy the day that they kind of get to be out on a golf course, they end up playing a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been tough, right? Like, I know if I'm on the course and I look at my phone and something's going wrong with work, and I get a weird email on a Saturday or a weird email on a Sunday, or Alex, my wife, calls me and she's mad that I didn't do something. I didn't take the trash out, or like some little things like those things get in your head, right? And I have a joke with my father-in-law when we're playing. Like, I'll call his wife, my mother-in-law, and be like, yo, can you give John a call to like break up that game? Because he's playing really good. She hasn't done it yet, but maybe a birthday present or something here in the future will be a get out of jail free card. So yeah, it's all about staying present though. Once you start letting those little things creep in, you're toast.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you had any, close run-ins with the magic number here of late? Where are we at along, how's the game been recently?
It's been okay. Hadn't really had as much time to play and practice, and especially now in North Carolina in the wintertime. Like, every course I've played over the last 2 months has been really, really, really wet, right?
Yeah.
It rains a bunch, doesn't drain as well, even though the soil is really sandy. So it's just been soggy, and it's hard to score when it's soggy, when it's really soggy conditions. I've actually broke 80 twice, but both times were before this whole situation of me on social media and talking about breaking 80. The first time was in high school. I shot 79 in a high school tournament, which was really cool. I mean, got toast by everybody else shooting like in the 60s, but 79 was cool. And then I shot 78 the day before I proposed to my wife, which is, my mind clearly was not on golf, right? Just other things were going on.
Something to that.
Yeah. But since we've been talking about it, I've come close. I've shot 82 at Pinehurst number 4 once, which is a tough course. And my thing too is I'm not going out and playing easy courses to do it at, right? Like, I'm playing Kiowa with Scott, or I'm playing Pinehurst. I'm playing this Fazio course that I live next to, Porter's Neck, or my course, River Landing. They're hard courses. I'm not going out and playing the Wilmington Muni that's a Donald Ross, and you're not going to lose a golf ball because there's not water on the entire course. I'm playing tough courses, and I'm playing from like 6,800 yards. They're long too. But like when I play with Scott at Kiowa, I shot 84 from the championship tees, which I thought was pretty good. Shot 82 at Pinehurst. And then I've had a couple other like 82s, 83s, kind of scattered out throughout the year. So we're getting closer. It's just a matter of me putting everything together.
Yeah, absolutely. Something my college coach had us do that you might think about is he would have us play actually the most forward tees all the time, and actually get used to shooting in the low 60s, right? Because your mind doesn't really remember what tees you played. It just remembers the scores that you were shooting, right? So I think sometimes a lot of people can get in this habit of just seeing themselves shoot 95, 98 all the time because they're playing, the blues or the black tees. And it can be a nice little confidence breakup just to, see yourself shoot, 70, right? Or, 75 from the most forward tees. And obviously if you don't have a couple, very often to play each month, it can feel like a little bit of a wasted exercise to go do it from the reds, but something to think about because I've seen it work wonders for a lot of people. I know for me, when we did that exercise, I actually shot 60 in college from the red tees. And then in the next qualifying event, I think I shot 68, which was my low score for qualifying. And it was the day after. It was like my brain was just kind of accustomed to more birdies and didn't really care that I had moved back 3 more tee boxes. So it's an interesting exercise for everyone out there that's kind of maybe stagnant in their scores to kind of shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things. When it dries out a little bit, when I have a little more time in the summer, like when I can go play 9 after work, right? Like right now, it's just not a possibility because it's dark by 5:30.
Right.
I do want to do that because I can't remember who it was. Maybe George Bryan or somebody tell me that. Maybe it was Scott. I think it was Scott. Somebody told me to do that same exercise, right? Like go get your brain used to making birdies, because
Yeah.
then it transitions back. Doesn't matter what tee box you're playing from.
Absolutely. And do you feel like being more vocal on social about it, has it put more pressure on you, or has it made you more accountable as well, to kind of like, well, if I don't go practice for a couple of weeks, like I got nothing to post type thing?
Actually, both, right? So there's more pressure to do it because people are always asking me about it.
Yeah.
I get like 2 to 5 DMs a day asking
Right.
about, hey, did you break 80 yet?
Right.
No, guys, I haven't. You'll know.
You'll know.
You'll know. And then accountability for sure. Like, I can't use, if I don't go practice, or I don't putt, or I don't do something, I don't have anything to talk about. And then
Right.
I'm just stagnant. And like, if you think about it in social media terms, people stop following you. Like,
Right.
you're not creating engaging content anymore. You're not adding value to anybody that's like following you and invested in your story. So you have to keep up and you have to keep going, because then just it's a snowball effect. So
Absolutely.
the answer to yes is to both is yes.
Gotcha.
So we're about out of time now, Blair, but since you're talking on social media, can you share with us where people can find you as well as your podcast?
Yep. My podcast is the Blair Wheeler Project podcast, formerly known as Golf and Stuff, from the Karate Kid fame, but that had to be changed due to some legal issues. But so yeah, the Blair Wheeler Project podcast. I try to release an episode a week. So far in 2021, that hasn't been the case. I've only put one out in 2021, but I have like good guests lined up. Bryce Butler, NFL player. Scott's going to be back on, I think, and some more stuff with him coming up soon. My Instagram's at Blair Wheeler. Facebook, same. I don't really use Facebook as much, kind of just a repost. Twitter, I hate Twitter, but it's Blair Wheeler. And TikTok. I'm on TikTok now, guys. So you might see
let's go.
some fun dances.
Nice.
Getting in with the youngsters.
Hey, man, trying to make it all happen.
I hear you.
So yeah, I'm all over the place. If you just type in my name, you'll find me.
Cool, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know you have a busy day today. Good luck in your journey to break 80. I think
Thanks,
that's
guys.
a fantastic goal, and you're sharing it with the world is really helping people out.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the time. Appreciate letting me come on and tell the story. And yeah, when I do it, we're gonna have a party. It's gonna be awesome.
You'll
You'll know.
All right, Blair. Well, thanks, man. Then once again, nice to meet you. Nice to speak with you. I'm sure we'll be connecting more down the road. And, I won't be DMing you about whether or not you broke 80, but I'll be asking you, are you staying consistent? Are you staying consistent? That's the name of the game.
Yes, sir. Keep me accountable. Thank you for
Yes,
having
I
me
will.
on.
All right, Blair. Take care, buddy.
Take
Thanks,
care,
guys.
man. Thanks.